Hi everyone, we're going to look at exploring categorical data in SPSS. So the first thing to note, the difference between categorical and continuous data. Categorical data is typically referred to as qualitative data. It can be called discrete, dichotomous. In SPSS, it designates categorical data as ordinal and nominal data. And the difference between ordinal and nominal is for ordinal data, it tends to have some type of order for it. So if you have, a 2, 3, or 4-star restaurant, maybe ranking something to one's liking, whether you like something a lot to something not at all. Maybe first, second, third place winners. There's some kind of order to the data. Nominal data is just categories. There's no order to it. There's no numerical value to it. And there's no numerical value to ordinal data either. But nominal data is, like gender, colors, states, etc. Continuous data, on the other hand, is quantitative data. And it's typically, it's interval data and ratio data. SPSS sort of lumps the two together, interval and ratio data, and refers to it as scale data. Interval data is a scale that has no true zero. Like an intelligence score, aptitude, temperature, you can't have zero temperature or zero intelligence. For example, temperature can be below 0 degrees Celsius and into negative temperatures when it comes to zeros. And then ratio data does have a true zero. You can have zero income. Hopefully that's not your case. You can't be zero. You're always, even if you were just born, you're within seconds of being just born, right? Okay, so in SPSS, these types of data are designated by certain symbols. The nominal data have the little bubbles, and the ordinal data has the little bar charts, and then the scale data, that's actually a histogram, but we'll talk about histograms and bar charts and the differences later. And then the scale data is represented by this little ruler. If you have string data, meaning words, then you will usually, if it's, nominal ordinal data, it will have this little letter in it. And then date data would have the picture of a calendar over it, and data associated with time has a little clock in it. Okay, so if we're looking into how we would maybe describe each of these types of data for categorical data, we would usually use frequencies and percentages. And we use measures of central tendency, of range, mode, if you have only a few categories, median, if you have a lot of categories. And we usually like to display the data using, if you have nominal data, you would use bar charts and graphs. And if you have ordinal data, you use histograms. And we'll show you the difference here. Let's look at the data. We have demographic data here. This is just demo data that you can find in SPSS. For this data, you can see we have all these little pictures of the rulers and the histograms. And here's those little bubbles. This one has an A because it has letters instead of numbers. It's probably coded, yes, F's and females. If you click on this and you have coded data, it will show you the words that the numbers stand for. So like for education, it tells you, some college, high school, etc. And they have been designated with numbers. And if you go to variable view, you can see where it's all been categorized here. And here are data that, it asks individuals if maybe they own a TV, and the options are only yes and no. Well, it seems that a lot of this data, yes and no is a category, not scale data. And in fact, all of these are yes and no questions. So this should all be nominal data. So we can actually change that by right-clicking, copy, highlight, paste real quickly by using that little technique. And then let's see, I think I saw another, let's see, marital status is also designated as scale, and it should be nominal because you can only be married or unmarried. Okay. So when we're looking at describing our data with frequencies, there's a reason why we would not use frequencies when we are using continuous data. So for example, if I want to use, let's first see what frequencies looks like if we do for marital status. Click OK. So we have 3,224 unmarried individuals and 3,176 married individuals. However, if I try to do that with, let's see, maybe an income, household income, now you can see that I have just so many different categories for income that this is really not very meaningful data, right? Okay, so that's why we stick to frequencies for categorical data, because there's not so many options to list the frequency for. Okay, and so we were also talking about using measures of central tendency in our data, so we can also choose options, let's see, marital status, such as the mode, and if you had a lot, maybe the median, and you might look for the maximum and the minimum. And then you can display frequencies tables by selecting this or not, ask for charts, and although you can use pie charts, it is an option for categorical data. Most people don't really like to use pie charts. They prefer either bar charts or histograms for categorical data. Now, since married and unmarried is nominal data and not ordinal data, we would choose a bar chart. And we'll show you what that looks like. Click OK. So we can see it's very nearly even. But those are two categories. They're not really, they don't have an order to them, of course. So if we find a variable to look at frequencies that is ordinal, maybe like income category instead of income amount, where to go? Income category. Now, let's see histograms for that. Okay, so for histograms category, the bar charts are closely or even attached to one another, because it's indicating that these categories are associated with each other. They have an order. And the order here is, from under $25 to over $25,000 to over $75,000. And then here, this is, they're much further apart. Okay. And that's how you would evaluate categorical data. When you receive your data, you should get to know your data well before you start running statistical analysis on it. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching.